Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to TCG Madness, the channel that is all TCG all the time. And in today's video, I am bringing you guys a budget deck profile for Star Wars Unlimited. We are going to be looking at a red and green Vader aggression deck that is budget friendly, because we all know right now Star Wars Unlimited is very expensive. So what I'm going to try and do my best and do my part to not complain so much, but to actually give you guys some kind of solution. So this is a budget-friendly deck for under $40. Now, real quick, if you guys can do me the big favor while you're watching this video, please do me the really big favor. If there's nothing else you do in this video, just please hit that like button for me. I really would appreciate it. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, too, comment down below what kind of budget deck you guys would like to see me do. And also, too, if you want, comment in this video if there's anything you think I may have missed or anything you would change or alter to this deck. I would love to hear some of your guys' feedback. Now, in a second, we're going to go head right over to StarWarsUnlimited.com, and you guys will see how I kind of broke down this deck. I'll break it down to certain categories, the cards I like, cards I don't like, and at the end, I will give you guys exactly what this deck will cost you if you were to buy all these cards on TCG Player, not including taxes or shipping. So without further ado, let's head over to StarWarsUnlimited.com, and let's go ahead and take a look at the deck. All right, you guys, we are now here at StarWarsUnlimited.com. First and foremost, I will actually put links down below in the description box for this and this deck as well. So if you guys want to go and check out this deck, or if you guys also want to check out StarWarsUnlimited.com, they actually have a really nice format for you guys to actually go ahead and manipulate, look at some decks. You can look at all the cards that are coming out, or that are out in the set, and cards that are also coming out in the next set. They actually have a couple of sneak previews in here as well. You guys can do a lot of deck building, stuff like that. It's a really cool tool to use if you are definitely want to get down the Star Wars Unlimited rabbit hole, so to speak. So this is the Vader red and green budget deck. This deck, first and foremost, will run you under $40 or less. And also, too, just want to throw this caveat out there. This is not an optimized deck. I fully am aware of that. This is just a budget-friendly deck. What I'm trying to do is give you guys a budget-friendly option, because Star Wars Unlimited is very expensive, A. And B, if anybody out there wants to get into it, it's also good to build budget-friendly decks to see if you actually like the card game. And then from there, if you really like it and you want to dive deep down that rabbit hole and spend as much money as you want, hey, spend as much money as your little heart desires, you know? But right now, Star Wars Unlimited is very expensive, and I'm trying to build some budget-friendly decks for everybody else out there. I will have a sideboard that I'll show you guys at the end also, that will give you guys those optimal cards to play. Like, these are the cards that if you really want to just tune this deck up to 100, these are the cards to add. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the deck. So this is going to be Vader, red and green. The leader, of course, obviously being Darth Vader. I'll go ahead and bring him up here. I really like, this is one of like my favorite decks to kind of run right now. I like Vader in general because I like playing aggressive style. That's just my type of genre. So I like to go immediately fast pace, hit your opponent, hit him hard, hit him often. I think Vader does one of the best at doing that. There's obviously some other cards. I mean, red in general does a good job of that. I think Vader does it the best. And also too, you can use his ability and his force and trooper stuff like that to really build a good deck. And that's kind of where I kind of tune this deck around the force ability, around a lot of troopers, and then a lot of around, you know, the leader itself. So the leader itself, pretty simple, right? You take an action, you pay one resource, you tap, and then if you played a villainy card this phase, deal 1 damage to a unit and 1 damage to the base. I love dealing damage, even just something like that, something as simple as that. 1-1. Put your opponent right there. You know, it's aggressive style. I like it. His backside, though, is where things get, in my opinion, very interesting, because obviously with a red deck, you want to attack a lot. So on attack, you may deal 2 damage to a unit. Love that. 2 damage to a unit. And to be honest with you, in this game, a lot of the ground units, you can take out a lot of things from that. So very good leader card. We're gonna use for the base. So the base we're using here is the green base. It's the Energy Conversion Lab. This base, in my opinion, is the best base there is. I mean, this thing is like a walking cheat code, really. It has an epic action, which you can only take once per game. Play a unit that costs 6 resources or less from your hand and give it ambush for this phase. There are so many things out there that cost 6 or less. I mean, talking from space to ground units, there's so much you can do with this. And the fact that you can just do that, play a 6 resource for free from your hand and give it ambush, allowing it to automatically start attacking. Again, it really just helps Vader out and tremendously. So the whole deck right here, you guys can see here's the deck profile. I got the sideboard and I got the actual deck. We are going to run 3 cards a little over the 50 limit. If you want to tune that out down to an even 50, I'll tell you guys what cards I personally would cut. The reason why I went 3 over is I thought it was lacking in the space department, but I think maybe I overcompensated a little bit. I probably could just cut, you know, maybe a ground unit or 2, but I'll show you the full deck in its profile. So here's the full deck in its profile, how many we added, all that kind of stuff. We're gonna go through top to bottom, starting with Ruthless Raider, which is right here. This is a very good space unit, pretty simple. When played or when defeated, deal 2 damage to an enemy base and 2 damage to an enemy unit. Pretty much Vader times 2, right? Dealing 1 to a unit, 1 to a base. That's kind of sticking on theme. Like it too, because it's also a 4/6, and this is also cost 6 or less. You can cheat this out if you want to. The amount we added to the deck, we added 2 of these to the deck, so pretty good there. Next up is Emperor Palpatine, which is right here. He unfortunately is not 6 or less, otherwise that would be just, ooh, that would be really good. But we did add 1 Emperor Palpatine to the deck. He does have Overwhelm when attacking an enemy unit, deal excess damage to the opponent's base. Again, sticking on theme, just really aggressive play style. I like this because in this game too, so far when I played these games, me and my wife and some of my buddies, we have played a lot of games together. It does seem like you are rewarded one-on-one aggression style. Now, we did play a couple of Twin Suns. Whoever's the most aggressive in Twin Suns, usually the one that's going to get booted out fast. I've never seen someone who plays aggressive in Twin Suns and ended up winning so far. It seems like you kind of put a target on your back. So aggressive, not really good for Twin Suns. And Twin Suns is a whole other format in Star Wars Unlimited. It's the multiplayer format, their version of Commander. He also has, when played, deal 6 damage divided as you choose among enemy units. So he's coming in. It's almost like also like a board wipe as well. You can come right in, deal 6 damage. I love that. You get to also divide it up. So if there's a bunch of ground units you want to take care of, you can absolutely do that. So only 1 of Emperor Palpatine just because he does cost 8. That's a pretty high cost. Next up is the Death Stormtrooper. We're adding 3 of these. Pretty generic. It's a 1-drop. I like 1-drops in this game because if you get those early on in hand and you pay just, you know, for 2 resources, you can have 2 of these guys out that deal 3 damage. They are lacking in the health department though, but for dealing 3 damage, they're good little chum blockers, and good for just clearing out those pesky little 2 1s and 3 1s and 3 2s and stuff like that. They're just good to get rid of those ones, so I like it. Those are the ones you might want to cut if you were to, you know, kind of trim this fat, so to speak. Next one is Admiral Azel. He has a really nice cost 2, 2/3. He has a really nice ability. Action, tap, play an Imperial unit from your hand, paying its cost. It enters play ready. Each opponent may ready a unit. So again, that's why I like those little stormtroopers right here, because they do have 3 power, so they can definitely take care of some stuff for you. And if you do happen to just cheat that one out with using him, pretty much eliminate someone immediately. I kind of like that as well. Admiral Zell. He's also someone else you might want to consider cutting off as well, but I like him. Next up is First Legion Snow Trooper. Cost 2, it's a 2/3, and also another Imperial Trooper, so again, sticking on theme here. And it has, while attacking a damaged unit, this unit gets +2 to its power, doesn't get anything for its health, and gains Overwhelm, deal excess damage to an opponent's base. So once again, if you were to maybe cheat this out with Admiral Ozell, maybe you play Admiral Zell, you pay 1 cost to get a Death Stormtrooper, maybe you already had out the Legion Troopers, so now right there, you have 3 resources. You already had a Legion Snowtrooper out. You attack with the Death Stormtrooper, then you combo off with a Legion Snowtrooper. If the Stormtrooper doesn't take care of it, Legion Trooper now will, because let's say someone is damaged. You put 3 power on somebody. Now this thing is going to be a 4/3. So there's a quick little combo right there, just in that little package. And again, all these cards are very, very cheap. They're not expensive. You're not going to break the bank. That's pretty much what I was trying to do. Kind of sticking on theme, really helping out aggressive style Vader play here, and then also finding cards that are just really cheap, because the cards that are in the sideboard, you're going to be like, how much is that card worth? It's insane. Can't wait for reprints, but unfortunately we're not getting reprints till the holidays, so kind of sucks. We're in this little boat here. Next up, we're going to add 3 copies of Vader Lightsaber. Again, if you want to trim 1 off of the Vader Lightsaber and go down to 2, that's also another candidate for the chopping block. But I do like this because, of course, it wouldn't be a Vader deck without Vader's lightsaber. So it does cost 2. It does give, you can attach it to a non-vehicle unit. It will give it +3/+1. It's So that's really, really good. They're giving it more power, and again, just really playing aggressive here. And it has, when played, if attached unit is Darth Vader, which more likely you're going to play it on Darth Vader, you may deal 4 damage to a ground unit. Again, once again, dealing more damage to a ground unit, and then if you were attacking with Vader, you're going to deal maybe the excess to it. There are just a lot of combo pieces here that you can do, and this deck has, I think, some very, very good synergy around dealing damage, being aggressive, and it also fits on theme with Imperials and Troopers, which you'll see why that's important later on. Next up are some of red event cards. We're going to start off with the Force Choke, which is right here, and it has cost 2. If you control a Force unit, which would be Vader or Palpatine, by the way, this event costs 1 less. Let me just pause right here. Even if you have to play this for 2, this card is still good at the 2. So if you can play it for 1, excellent. So if you have Vader out, or if you're fortunate enough to have Palpatine out as well, and it costs you 1, it's a really, really good card. If it costs 2, it's still a good card. So paying it for 1, really, really good. Paying it for 2, still pretty damn good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so just want to go ahead and throw that out there. Deal 5 damage to a non-vehicle unit. That unit's controller draws a card. So yes, your opponent's going to get some card advantage, but to deal 5 damage, again, sticking on theme, you can really just, being this aggressive, is really going to put your opponent back against the wall. And like I said, you're going to have fun doing that. Next up is Force Throw. And by the way, we're going to add, of course, 2 to the Force Choke. The next card is Force Throw. We're going to add 2 cards of Force Throw into this deck. Cost 1, so again, very cheap, cost-efficient card. I like that, especially for events, because they only get a one-time use. Choose a player. That player discards a card from their hand. Then, if you control a Force unit, Vader or Palpatine, you may deal damage to a unit equal to the cost of the discarded card. So, again, just pause real quick. Choose a player. That player discards a card from the hand. Right then and there. That's a good card right there. For costing you 1, that's really good. So right there, your opponent's got to discard a card. If you control Vader at this point, or if you control Palpatine, which again, you're probably going to hold on to this card if you have Vader ready to deploy, so you can get the excess ability of this card. But even if you didn't, that's still a very good card. For cost you 1 to force your opponent to discard a card. It's pretty good. And then of course you get the added bonus that they discard a card, they have to take damage equal to the unit cost, which pretty good. So 2 of those. I really, really like that card, actually. That's a card I almost would, if you were to trim the fat, I would almost put a 3rd copy of as well. Maybe go down, maybe take 1 less Force Choke, and maybe add 1 more Force Throw. Actually, that's a really good card, but the Force Choke's also really good. So, again, you guys manipulate however you want. These are all great things if you guys want to comment down below. Really do appreciate it. Also, too, if you made it this far in this video, please hit that like button. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button. Really do appreciate it, guys. Next up is Open Fire. This one, pretty standard. For 3, deal 4 damage to a unit. Just excellent. Just get rid of pesky things. Nothing crazy there. So that is going to do for all the red. Now we're going to go into the green. And now we're going to start off with the 97th Legion. And I think green, outside of Vader himself and Vader's lightsaber, are like the win cons. The green has some really good win cons. And this one's definitely being one of them. So we added 2 copies of 97th Legion. Pretty simple ability here. Cost 7, pretty high, but it gets +1/+1 for each resource you control. Not how much you paid, for each resource you control. So let's just hypothetically say, even if you had the bare minimum, which this thing's going to cost you 7, so even if you had 7 resources and you deployed them at 7, it's going to be a 7/7. That's a beefy boy right there. So I really do like that card. Definitely, if you had 10 or 12 resources, you know, if the game went on that long and you deployed him, this could definitely be a good win con for you. Drop it. Hopefully your opponent doesn't, you know, destroy it or anything. And then if you're fortunate enough to not have it destroyed and your base is already at 15, maybe even 20 health, if you deploy this thing at 10, that's going to take your opponent down to either, you know, if your opponent has 20 health, that's going to take down half their health. If they're at 15 and you're looking to deploy this right around 7, 8, or 9 resources, again, that's going to be half. So really strong card there just to drop it like that. Next up is General Taj or Tage. I don't know how to pronounce that exactly. He costs 2. He's also a 2/2. And this is a really good card because, again, if you've been paying attention, we have a lot of troopers in this deck. So when played, give an experience token give a, let me rephrase that. When played, give an experience token to each of up to 3 trooper units. If you don't know what an experience token is, it's a +1/+1. So again, very, very good. You're going to beef up some of your troopers. And again, there's a lot of troopers in this deck. I mean, there are a lot of troopers in this deck. You have the 97th Legion right there. You have the Death Star Stormtrooper, 1st Legion Snow Trooper. And there's still more to come, by the way, because we have the next card right here, Seasoned Short Trooper, that is also a trooper unit. So the next card, obviously, and you're going to add 3 copies of him. The next one is the Seasoned Short Trooper that you're going to add 3 copies of. Also very, very good. First of all, cost efficient. Also comes out as a 2/3. But if you control, or while you control 6 or more resources, he gets +2. So again, if you have all these troopers out, like even the first, remember even the stormtroopers too, they were 3/1. So if you play General Tag or Tag or Taji, however the hell you pronounce his name, you also play maybe a short trooper. Let's say you got troopers everywhere and you play him, well, you can beef up a lot of these troopers, and this is another added bonus to beefing up your troopers. So let's just say he's now a 4/3. If you have 6 or more resources, you play the general, you give him another +1/+1. Now he's going to be a 5/6. So that's a really beefy trooper all of a sudden. Maybe you play the 97th Legion trooper. Those are going to be some really big troopers that your opponent's going to have to deal with. So again, another excellent card there. This one right here, I think, is the most underrated card in the entire deck, and I think maybe this entire set, to be honest with you. This is the Super Laser Technician. He is a 3-drop, comes out at 2/1, but this is the ability that I really like. When defeated, you may put this unit into play as a resource and ready it. What? This unit gets defeated, you get to just immediately put him in as your resource. That's crazy. And one thing that you could really do with this card is that, let's say you attack with Vader. Let's say you want to actually ramp and get him into your resource. Well, Vader doesn't state that it has to be a non-friendly unit or a friendly unit. It doesn't, it just says to a unit. You can just put that damage right on him, knock him out, and put him into your resource. I mean, think about that. You play him for 3, you swing at him at your opponent's base, you put 2 damage onto your opponent's base, then your opponent retaliates and hits you or something like that. Okay, then you have Vader deployed, you swing with Vader, and then you put damage on your opponent's base, but then you put that 2 damage that Vader does when attacked onto him, and you put him in your resource. Now you've just ramped that turn. It's a pretty good combo piece right there, and I think it's one of the most underrated cards in this entire set. The Super Laser Technician is my golden pick of this deck, because I really do think you can do some crazy things with him, and that's why he definitely warrants 3. If I can have 10 of him, I would absolutely put 10 of him in a deck. Definitely a really, really good card. I hope that Star Wars Unlimited makes more cards kind of like this. I think it's really cool that happens. When he gets defeated, he goes right into your resource. So definitely 3 of him. The next one was definitely my close second favorite of the deck. But I still think that one's my favorite, the Super Laser Technician, just because you could ramp with him. This one, Grand Moff Tarkin, he is a cost 4. He is a 2/3. But, of course, he has, when played, search the top 5 cards of your deck. Up to 2 Imperial cards, reveal them, draw them. Love, love, love that right there. Again, if you've been paying attention, we have a lot of Imperial units. Play him, search the top 5 cards, tutor 2 Imperials out. Even if you just hit on one of them out of the 5 cards, you just hit 1 Imperial unit, that's still going to be worth it right there. And then you put the other cards on the bottom of your deck in a random order. 3 copies of him, without a doubt. Very, very, very good card there. All right. Next up is the Concentorium Star Viper. Now, this is the only one that kind of veers off the Imperial lineup in general. But there's a reason why we have this card in here, and I think this could also save you. So the base you're playing with has 25. Most standard bases that don't have abilities have 30 health. The one we're choosing for this deck has 25, so you're already at a handicap with having this. Even though that base has a really good ability, you're already at a handicap just for, having your 5 less health. So this card can definitely save you if you're in a pinch. While you have the initiative, this unit gains Restore 2, and this unit attacks, heal 2 damage. So again, this is an aggressive deck. You're going to be swinging a lot with this deck. Why not get some restoring bonuses from that as well? If you have the initiative, play this card. If you're low on health, start restoring it. You know what I mean? Start gaining some health back, because again, you're already at a handicap. If you're coming to the table and your opponent has a standard base at 30 and you come to 25, you're already down 5 health to them. So you're already going to have a handicap, which is why the aggressive style really does work. But again, that 25 health can be a little bit of a bummer. And again, too, if you guys want to change that, more than welcome to. Something else you guys can comment down below in this video if you guys would change that base. I really think having that 25, but that ability on that energy base is so damn good to just cheat something out at 6 or less. I mean, I couldn't overlook that. I had to go with it. Of course, you guys can do other colors too as well. If you don't want to go with green, you can do blue and yellow and stuff like that. So I went with green just because there's a lot of synergy around Imperial and Troopers on green. But I do like this card. Have the initiative, go ahead and restore 2. We only have 2 of those just because you really have to have the initiative to get the full ability out of it. Next one is 2 copies of Recruit, really cheap. It's a 1-drop. It's the only green event we have in this deck. Search the top 5 cards of your deck for a unit, reveal it, and draw it. Pretty simple. It does not tell you it's Imperial. It doesn't have to be a Trooper. It doesn't have to be a Force unit. Nothing. Just a unit. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Again, to play it for 1, to tutor out 5 cards, to draw a card. Again, there's a really good build up, synergy with it. Maybe you play the Recruit, then you play Super Lazy Technician, then you deploy Vader. There's a bunch of combos you can do. Maybe you get General out and you already have a bunch of Troopers and you play General and you beef up your Troopers. A lot of good things you can do with Recruit. Next up on the list is Snow Trooper Lieutenant. 2 copies of that. Again, it's a Trooper unit. It's just a black villainy card. And it's also cost efficient. It's a 2/2/2. When played, you may attack with a unit. If it's an Imperial unit, it gets +2 for this attack. Again, paying attention, you have a lot of Imperial units. So great synergy already. Because you're more than likely going to have an Imperial unit out with this card, and you're just going to go ahead and start swinging away, and you're going to give it that +2. Think about this too. A lot of stuff that gives you the +1s, the +2s. I mean, even if you just played that Snow Trooper Lieutenant with the Death Star Stormtrooper, and you swing with him, he is now going to be a 5/1. There are not a lot of things in this game that have 5 or more health. I can promise you that. And that's a very cost-efficient card. It only costs 1. This one costs 2. So for 3 resources, you could have yourself a 5/1, or you can just swing at your opponent's base with 5 damage. I mean, that's pretty good right there. Next up is one of the only other big green win cons. This is like an all else fails method. This is 1 copy of the Blizzard Assault AT-AT. Yes, it costs 8, but it is a 9/9. It is Imperial, but it has when this unit attacks and defeats a unit, you may deal the excess damage from this attack to an enemy ground unit. So think of this as like more splash damage. Again, getting rid of those pesky. That's the only way your opponent can pretty much outmaneuver you if you're being this aggressive, is to just really swarm their board with space and ground units and really just go heavily on the ground units. If your opponent does that and has a heavy ground presence, these are the type of cards that you're going to be looking at. Beefing up your Troopers, playing a big beefy boy like this, 97th Legion. These are all great cards that just, there weren't a lot of board wipes that I could use without being very expensive. So we had to find some really, really cheap alternatives. This is a good cheap alternative in my opinion. And again, not a lot of things in this game that's going to have 9 HP. I can promise you that. So again, just 1 copy. Not going to, clog the deck up with this. Just 1 copy. Next up is a very, very cost-efficient card as well. 3 copies of the TIE Fighter. This is where I started to say to myself at the end of this deck, I was like, okay, I have a lot of ground units. I don't have a lot of space units. What are some cheap, cost-efficient space units? TIE Fighter, 1-drop, 2/1. Next up, TIE Fighter Advanced. Cost 4 to 3/2, but when played, give 2 experience tokens to another friendly Imperial unit. Sticking on theme. And the Imperial Interceptor. And the Imperial Interceptor costs 4, it's a 3/2, and when played, you may deal 3 damage to a space unit. Don't have a lot of them, so the cost-efficient TIE Fighters 3, TIE Advanced 3, and the Imperial Interceptor 2. And then I also skipped 1 card, so we'll go to that one right now. And then 3 copies of General Veers. Also a great card, sticking on theme. Cost 3, 3/3. Other friendly Imperial units get +1/+1. If you have a board full of Imperial units, let's say you have like 3 cards that are all Imperial units, you play him, they're all getting +1/+1. Very good card. The last card I want to talk about here is the most expensive card, and that is Force Lightning. This card comes anywhere between $16 and $19. We added 1 copy because that's as much as my budget would allow me to put in. So I was trying to be good with that. Cost 1, choose a unit, it loses all abilities for this phase. Then if you control a Force unit, Palpatine or Vader, Pay any number of resources and deal 2 damage to the chosen unit for each resource paid this way. Just the top ability alone to just make a card lose alt ability is worth it for me for a 1-drop. If you have Vader out and you play this card, you're going to really probably board wipe something, you know? You're going to deal a bunch of damage. Even if you just paid it for, let's say you pay it for 1, let's say you pay another 2 more resources, card now costs you 3 and you have Vader out, you're going to do 4 damage to something and make it lose all of its abilities. Pretty good. That's going to do it for this whole deck. I'm going to go now to the sideboard here, and we're going to go ahead and quickly talk about it. These are the cards that if you really wanted to optimize your deck 100%, these are the cards you would add. Problem is, these cards are uber expensive, starting with the most obvious, the strongest card in the game, Darth Vader. He is a 7-drop, but he also comes out as a 5/7. He has Ambush. When played, search the top 10 cards of your deck for any number of villainy units, not Imperial, not Troopers, but villainy units with a combined cost of 3 or less, and play each of them for free. It's the most powerful card in the game right now, guys. It just really is. Just get 3 cards. Even if you only get a 2 and a 1-drop and you play those out for free, that's really good. It's going to give you a heavy board presence. Next up was Precision Fire. Attack with a unit, it gains Saboteur for this attack. If it's a Trooper, it also gets +2/+0 for this attack. Ignores Sentinel and defeat the Defender's Shield. Pretty good. Again, sticking on theme. We have a lot of Troopers. Also, this card is a little cost heavy. So, I also already talked about this one, Force Lightning, but you would obviously go to match 3 for Force Lightning. Again, it runs $16 to $19, so budget, not so budget friendly. And the last one that you would also add, I Am Your Father, deals 7 damage to an enemy unit unless its controller says no. If they do, draw 3 cards. So, one of the best draw engines in this game, and I almost forgot, just do that. There you go. That would be your sideboard. Those would be the cards that are going to cost you. All that right there, by the way, like these cards just alone, these 10 cards are going to run you almost $400. So that's what I mean by cost efficient. Oh, and I almost forgot too. The total cost of this deck, if you were to go and purchase on TCG Player, all these cards, the 53 out of 50, are going to run you $33.88. And that does not include shipping and or fees, just the cards themselves. It's all going to run you $33.88. So again, sticking on theme, under the budget of $40. That is going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Again, this is Star Wars Unlimited. I'll put links down below for all of this. If you guys want to see me do any other kind of decks, let me know down in the comment section. Really do appreciate it. Please, if anything, if nothing else, hit that like button for me, especially if you made it this far in this video. I really do appreciate it. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you guys next time.